This is the Roller Coaster Podcast, and I'm your host, Lucie Q. Life is a wild ride. It has twists and turns. It's scary, exciting, and downright fun. So throw your head back, arms in the air, and come along with me for the ride.
Life is like a roller coaster, baby, baby. I wanna ride.
Do you hear that whisper? That little voice that tugs at your heart, telling you to start living your best life. If that sounds like you, then now is the time to join Nectar Growth. It's the only place online where you can connect with and learn from great coaches with different areas of expertise. Why live another day not believing that you're enough, not seeing all that is possible for you? Why live another day dimming your own light? Nectar is the perfect place for you to discover the real you and uncover who you're meant to be. Life is a journey that we are not meant to walk alone. Nectar gives you a nurturing and supportive community to walk with you on your journey. Start living your best life and see what is truly possible. Come join us at nectargrowth.com. You know you're worth it. Over the past year, the term manifesting has shot up in Google searches well over 669%, and shut up on manifesting is among the most defining memes of 2020. If we look back, the film and the book, The Secret, which was based on Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill and the Law of Attraction, that came out over a decade ago. But for me, it left down a few key pieces, which could be why people are still searching for answers. Joining me today is Melisa Caprio, author of Postcards to the Universe, to share how you can harness the universe's power and manifest your dreams. Hi, Melisa.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to talk about this today. I love to talk about this stuff, so it's great. Thank you.
It's so important. And I think, The Secret shared a lot, but left out equally as much.
Yeah, left out a lot. Yeah.
It did. It oversimplified it.
Yeah. It gives the impression that you can just sit on your couch and say, I want a new house, and then it's just magically going to show up, or I want a new car. And it's not that simple. There's a lot more to it than that. Yeah.
So why is manifesting important to you?
Well, okay. So for me personally, how I came into this kind of work was I was doing something completely different. I'm a photographer. My background is fine art photography. And I was working down in the Florida Keys, photographing dolphins, doing therapy with disabled children for a long time. And it was a great job. And I just absolutely loved it. And I was married at the time, and I had my house, and literally in 30 days, everything just fell apart. I mean, the job was leaving, the marriage was crumbling, and I had to leave my home. So it was pretty traumatic. And so I started going into why is this happening? Why did this happen? I don't understand, and from doing asking those questions, an interesting thing started to happen. I started to meet some people or discover a book or something that started giving me answers. And that's when I had known who Wayne Dyer and Louise Hay were previous to that. And I had skimmed, but I can't say that I really understood it. And then I started hearing about this law of attraction and how we're always manifesting usually things we don't want, right? in our lives, not the things that we do want. So that led me to asking, well, how did I co-create? Why did I co-create some of these painful things that were happening besides the good things? Because I know I manifested the job. I dreamed of working with dolphins when I was a kid, and so many years later, it came around, right? So when I really understood what law of attraction was and manifesting and how we're doing it, I got the idea that, well, geez, if I'm going to be doing that, I might as well be doing this consciously. So I took a course. It was like a 12-week course about the law of attraction because I really wanted to dive into it. And when I started that course, things started to manifest for me. And one of the things that came to me, and this was like right when I was starting the course, was one evening, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do because, like I said, I was a photographer. I'm not working there anymore. I need to work. What am I going to do? Commercial photography? Sure, I could do that. It's okay. I like it. I didn't love it, but I liked it. And one evening, I heard clearly as I was falling asleep, and I tell this story over and over again. I heard the words "postcards to the universe." I heard them in my head, loud. And I was not quite asleep. It was like 1 a.m. I got up and I went onto my computer and I went to GoDaddy and I bought the domain name. And I didn't even know what I was going to do with it. And this is when I started the reading. And then from there is when I met a woman who taught the Law of Attraction course. So it kind of like all happened around the same time. But I didn't do anything with it for at least a year. It just sat because I didn't know what that looked like yet. And then I realized how I could use photography, my creativity, teaching people how to use their creativity to co-create with the universe to manifest what they want. And that's kind of how Postcards to the Universe was born. I mean, I'm giving you the short version, but no, this is years, it's years of from when I left the job and left the relationship to flailing around, trying to figure out what I wanted to do, to dealing with my own pain, to doing my own inner work, to getting that first seed, to planting that seed, to taking inspired action. And I think that's what the secret leaves out, is that taking inspired action. And I was so lost that I was willing to go wherever I was kind of being guided to go. And it just kept bringing me to the next step, to the next step, to the next step, which was photographing these manifesting postcards, blogging about them. Then I decided I wanted to do radio, and I have a radio show now, which I also turned into a podcast. So I have my first book that I published, which has got 30 manifesting stories, including mine, how I manifested this, postcards that I photographed in the book. And I'm 85% done with my second book. I just finished my book proposal yesterday.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. So I still have a lot more to do with the book, but all of this is because of manifesting and discovering the law of attraction.
And you touched on two very important points that I believe the secret left out. The first one is the inspired action. Mm-hmm. And we can get to that one afterwards. But the other one is dealing with the pain. Because from where I've come from and what I've been through, if you don't deal with the shit,
oh, for sure,
then you can't manifest. It's almost like you can't build a strong house on a crappy foundation. It just doesn't work. So it's almost, the secret introduced law of attraction and started to plant those seeds.
Yeah.
But if you don't go back and clear out the garbage, if you don't go back and deal with your emotional self and become that stronger person, you can't manifest the good things you want in your life. Absolutely. Because the emotional trauma is inadvertently causing you to manifest more emotional trauma.
Right. Because it's really vibration and it's energy. So when you're in pain, and you've been there, I've been there, you're vibrating low. You're not vibrating high. So you can't bring in something.
You're barely buzzing.
Oh, am I buzzing?
No. I meant like when you're low. You're not vibrating.
I was buzzing literally.
No, it's like when you're not even vibrating when you're that down on yourself. It's kind of like a zzz.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't have the energy, right? You're angry and you're upset and you don't have the energy. So you can't even imagine. So you're right. You have to feel the pain and you have to process the pain and you have to work through the pain. And I think that needs to be part of, it is part of, we're human, right? We're here having our human experience, all of us. So pain is part of the process. We can't, I love the spiritual movements and I love reading all the books, but sometimes they forget to tap on that our emotions we need to validate our emotions, and pain and anger is one of them. We can't pretend like, oh, everything's so light and fairy. No, sometimes it's really not, and once you get and you clear that out, then open up the space to bring in that higher vibration and start manifesting where you want to go. But that's why I said I gave you the short version of how I got there, but
Yeah.
it took years.
It takes years.
Yeah.
And this process, it's not linear. It's not like you can
Right.
do this step and this step and this step, because we're constantly evolving as who we
Mhm.
are. So you may be dealing with some emotional issues, diving in and exploring your
Mhm.
feelings in one place, and that gets you to a new level. And then you start doing a little bit of manifesting, and then you realize, oh, I got to go back and deal with some more pain. And
Right.
it's this, it's kind of like a perfect storm.
Yeah. Mhm.
But we were talking about tornadoes earlier, but what's in the middle of a tornado?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
that sort of vortex, that place
That
of calm,
vortex. Yeah. Yeah.
where you
Yeah.
can
It's true.
create.
It's true. It's true. And it's like when you're going through something, it's kind of like when you're grieving, grieving comes in waves. And it's the same thing with manifesting. Sometimes you'll be in a really good space and you'll be banging it out and manifesting and things are coming. Like you'll say something and boom, it shows up on television. I mean, I'm sure you have that happen, right? And it's crazy. And it's usually the things that we're not attached to that it happens that quickly. It's the things that we hold this emotional attachment to that takes a little bit longer. And then you'll go through those periods where something will happen, something will come in your reality and it's painful or it's aggravating. And then you kind of go on that, nothing's coming to me right now. And you have to start to stop and ask yourself, okay, what's going on inside? Why is this happening? And I also believe in divine timing. I think sometimes we think we're ready for stuff that we are not ready for, and the universe knows better than we do. I really believe that.
Oh, 100%. Before we sort of touch on divine timing and timelines, let's go back and how do we actually start to manifest something?
Well, there's two things that I talk about, and I talk about these a lot. And one is, okay, first off, whatever it is you want, whether it's something small or big, you have to ask yourself this question: do you feel you deserve it? And if the answer is not 100% yes, then it's not going to come to you. And I say it so strongly because it's the truth. Or let me put it to you this way: if it does, you're not going to be able to hold on to it.
So does that come down to belief in yourself?
Yes, it comes down to your belief in yourself. It's like if you've ever watched the study they talk about people who win the lottery and why they can't hold on to the money they won, because they don't know how to hold on to that kind of wealth, right? Because they don't have that internally. So they'll end up losing it. And that's the same thing. So we have to feel we're worthy of what we want. So I always recommend, if you have deep trauma, if you have deep stuff that you're dealing with, work with somebody you trust to help you heal that. That is first. We were talking about strong foundations, right? You have to have a strong foundation. Work with somebody, a counselor, a therapist, a shaman. It doesn't matter. Just somebody that you resonate with that helps you heal that deep trauma. And then another self-love exercise that I have done and I continue to do, but I did it really hardcore for a long time, and it's not mine, it's Louise Hay's. It's mirror work. I recommend mirror work to sit in front of your mirror in the morning, first thing, with your cup of coffee or tea or whatever, no makeup, nothing, and tell yourself loving things, and do it for at least 30 days every day. It's really uncomfortable at first because the criticizing person in you is going to want to point out every flaw, your hair,
because you can't help but sort of go, oh, I need to do my roots.
Another crow's feet, right?
Is that what is that? Is that a pimple coming up? What the heck?
Right. And you wouldn't do that. And you wouldn't do that to little children, right? You wouldn't do that. So you wouldn't. So you have to talk to yourself like you would your child or a child that you love. I think of my niece because I don't have kids. So I always think of my niece, and she's just now at that prepubescent age, and everything is like, how would I ever speak to her? Never. Some of the things that I've said to myself, So that mirror work is hard, but it gets easier, and and it clears out. You find out a lot of the negative stuff you say to yourself because you want to change that. Once you change that, you start feeling like you deserve, because nobody's perfect. All the stuff we see on social media, that's all fake. Instagram is completely curated. I'm a photographer. I could spot a curated feed a mile away.
Oh yeah. I mean, look at all the different filter
Yes.
options that you have.
Yeah, it's not real. You don't know what people are going through. So you have to start to learn to love yourself. And I have found that mirror work was something that I really, really did. Now, I worked with a coach for a while when I first started discovering this kind of work, because there was stuff that I needed to work out. I had a lot of anger, and so I needed to work that out. And that really, really helped me.
Okay. So, after we ask ourselves, do we really feel that we deserve this? And maybe do some of that mirror work. What comes next?
Oh, this is the best one. This is my favorite. Gratitude. Gratitude. Gratitude is the most powerful way to manifest. It's the quickest and most powerful way to manifest. I mean, you can't pretend to be grateful. You have to really be grateful. You have to really tap into that. And a lot of us don't feel grateful, and it's hard. Like if you're struggling to pay your bills, if you're struggling with your relationships and your job and you don't like your job, you're thinking, how in God's name can I be grateful for this? You have to find the tiniest things, and keeping a gratitude journal is great. I actually offer a free 30-day gratitude manifesting thing on my website. So if somebody wants to go to my website, on postcardstotheuniverse.com and sign up for my newsletter, they automatically, I get their information, their email, and then they get a PDF of the 30-day gratitude, manifesting gratitude PDF. And I like to do it with photography because I'm a photographer. I like to take photos of what I'm grateful for. So that's a wonderful tip, because then you're using a visual component, and I break it down for the week. So let's say I'm great. It's just something as simple as I'm grateful for the food that's in my refrigerator, for the banana I get to eat today, for the shower I get to take. You start small, or if it's a job, maybe you don't like your boss, but you really like somebody you work with that you get to see every day. Like I'm really grateful for this person who's my coworker. We laugh, we have lunch together. You start looking for those little things, and what starts to happen is when you recognize them and you note them and you thank God or the universe or whatever you want to call it, your higher self, it doesn't matter. You'll start to notice more of those things start coming to you that you want. So that is the way that I've done it. And then like I said, I use photography. I use creativity. That's why I teach people how to make manifesting postcards, which really work.
So what's a manifesting postcard?
So a manifesting postcard is kind of like I'm sure you've heard of vision boards, right? So it's kind of like I'm
surrounded by them.
I am too.
Literally.
So it's a mini vision board, and it's people get real creative on a postcard, and they'll look for images that resonate with what they want. Some of them I have made by artists, so they get all into it and they create these beautiful little mini canvases practically and send them to me. I was doing live workshops before the pandemic. I'm hoping to get back to that, but right now it's just people sending them to me, through the mail. I love getting them. And you just, on the website, I tell people how to create a sacred space and, what tools to use, and just get into that energy vortex and create, because I think kids are master manifestors, because they don't have all the stuff that we have associated with it. Like they say they want something and it just comes to them because they're already in that vortex space, with happy little children. So we're tapping into that happy little child energy when we're creating and making a manifesting postcard. And then I tell everybody, take a picture of it, put it on your fridge, put it somewhere, put it on your phone. It doesn't matter, but you have to send me a postcard. And then when your manifestation comes to fruition, then we'll have we'll blog about you, or you'll be in a book, or I'll have you on my radio show. We'll talk about it, like that kind of stuff. If the person feels comfortable, obviously.
So after we start to incorporate gratitude into our daily lives, what do we do next?
Well, gratitude is something that I think you can keep building and building on. But I think what you need to do next is you really need to get clear on what it is you really want. Because here's what we do, a lot of us will say, I want to be happy. Okay, well, what is happiness? So then I'll ask, well, what does happiness look like? Well, I don't know. I mean, if I had more money. Oh, okay. So happiness is money. Okay. So what is it about how, what do you want to, money's just energy. What do you want to do with that money? Oh, I would like to take care of my family. I would like to be able to take more trips with my family, or I would like to be able to, you know, have my in-laws live with us so that we can be together more, have a bigger house, have all this stuff. So basically, so what is making you happy, you're telling me in that story, is the money was going to give you the connection that you're looking for with your family, is really what you're looking for. That's where your happiness is. You don't feel connected to your family. You don't need the money for that. How can you be more connected to your family? You find those ways to do that, and then the money will come. Do you see what I'm saying? That's how it works. So we have to really know what it is that we really want. I want a new job. Well, I want a new job that pays me a lot. Well, what do you like to do? You have to know. You have to start there. And I think that is really, really deep work. So it's a lot of writing. In my book, I have lots of writing exercises to help people get clear in different areas of their life, their health and finances and relationships, about what it is they want.
And, correct me if I'm wrong, but when we're talking about what is it that you want, and you're sort of diving down just to fully understand it. And it's not about justifying why you want it, because the very fact that you want it is enough.
Exactly.
And that we shouldn't.
Do you understand what it is you really want? Is it the feeling that you imagine what you want? That's what you really want. So if happy is your thought, what does happy look like to you? Maybe it's in a romantic relationship. So really what you want is a deep, intimate connection with somebody, because that's what makes you happy, right?
Definitely.
So there's no judgment. It doesn't matter. You can want $100 million because you want to roll around in $100 million on your bed. If that's what makes you happy, there's no judgment here. You do that.
Yeah. And for me, when I explored this for myself, I just want the power to choose. That it's not about having the money. Right. It's about being in a position where I can choose who, how, and when I'm spending my time.
Right.
And then it was through identifying that I'm able to see that I already have the power to choose.
Right.
But that leads us back into inspired action.
Inspired action, right. Inspired action. And it sounds like part of what you want is the freedom to do what you want, those things that you want, the financial freedom, because there's a sense of security, like you can make these choices. Yeah, absolutely. And we do have to take inspired action. So if it's okay, so for me, for example, when I first did the radio, I'm with Om Times Radio now. I was with another radio hosting company for 4 years before I went to Om Times last year. And when one of my friends started and she was doing radio, and I said, I think I want to try that. I think I want to try that. And I had never thought about, because I'm a photographer, everything for me is visual, so I never thought radio. But there was something about when she was doing it, I'm like, with postcards, I think that would be really, really cool. So the more I thought about it, the more I was like, yep, that's what I want to do. So I found out who the producer was, and I sent them an email and introduced myself and asked if they would be willing to meet with me, because I have an idea for a show and this is what I would like to do. And then I got a response and they said yes, and we had a meeting, and then yes, I got a radio show. But I had to take that action. I couldn't just say, oh, it would be nice, I would love to have a radio show. I thought, yeah, I really want to do this.
Yeah, you have to take steps to move forward.
You have to take steps. have to take steps to move forward. If it's your health, you know, and you want to just be healthier, you have to take inspired action on what you're putting in your body.
Yeah.
Really. Not about weight. This isn't about weight. This is about health. So if you know, if you feel terrible and you're eating a lot of junk food, that's probably partly the reason that you're feeling terrible. So you may want to introduce some greens into your life, you know, take some supplements, maybe not completely give up the junk food, but at least start to wean off of it a little and incorporate healthier things. So that's taking an inspired action. You know, if you want to travel and you don't know how you're going to do it, I always tell people, pretend that you're going and start looking at where you would stay and, you know, what you would do while you're there. You can create this whole imaginary trip in your imagination. And then if you're strong enough in your desire to do it, it'll come to you. I had a friend who did that. She created a postcard about going to Spain, to this little town that she wanted to go because they did flamenco dancing or whatever. And when she like sent me this card from this town with her postcard, like 2 years before this happened. And she was a dancer. And 2 years later, her troupe was going on a tour and they went to that town, to that specific town. I know, I get stories like that all the time. Yeah, because she had it in her mind's eye. She was attracted to this card and she just like wanted to go. It was such a strong desire. And she's dancing. So that's her inspired action. She's living her life. She's dancing and she went. Mm-hmm.
Is there a limit to how much we can manifest at any given time?
No, we limit ourselves. We think there is, so then that's why there is. But like I said, I really believe in divine timing. And I also think that we may think we're ready for something and we're not.
And sometimes I also, you know, when I'm trying to attract something into my life,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's easy to get frustrated.
Sure.
Because it's not showing up. And
Right.
what I find, and then that frustration vibration is bringing you down. So you're kind of working against yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
But what I try to tell myself in those moments is something in the universe isn't ready for me yet.
Yes.
Some other pieces of the puzzle have to come together so that my piece will fit in.
I really like that. Yeah, that's a really good way to think about it. Yeah, it's not ready yet. It's not ready. What you want is getting made over there. It's kind of like when you order food, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and Louise Hay, I listened to her and she said this and I'll never forget it. She's like, you know, part of the problem with us is we place our order into the universe, and instead of sitting back and waiting, how's it going to come and when's it going to come and why isn't it here yet? Well, we did this work and we're chanting and we're meditating, we're visualizing, right? And she's like, it's the same thing like when you're in a restaurant. You don't go in the kitchen and stand over the chef and say, right? You know, when's my food going to be done? You're not putting enough pepper in it. You're not doing this. You know, we sit there knowing it's going to be brought to us. And that always stuck with me when I get anxious about something that I want that it hasn't manifested yet. Like, okay, Melissa, you know, get out of the chef's kitchen. Let the universe do what it needs to do. And what you said is right. It kind of goes with what you said. The universe isn't ready with your order yet.
Yeah. And going back to your analogy of the restaurant, your dinner, if you're sitting there with one person, your dinner's going to come out of the kitchen a lot quicker than if you're sitting there with 20.
That's true. That's true. And we're always collectively co-creating too. So there's that aspect of it. There's that collective. And I notice that a lot of times, especially when it comes to relationships, anybody that I've ever talked to, because a lot of the people send me postcards about relationships. And I noticed that, and I tell everybody, but a lot of people don't listen. You can have there's enough people in the world. How many people are on the earth now? 8 billion? I mean, I don't know, right? 8 billion, 7.5 billion. There's your person's out there. It's not an issue. Here's your issue. Your issue is you say you're ready for a relationship, but you're not willing to give up your space for it. You're not willing for them to come in a package that looks different than what you have in your mind's eye. You're not willing for them to maybe be in a different age bracket or a different economic bracket or live in a different part of the world. You are so rigid about what this person has to be and look like that you're missing maybe a lot of opportunities, and you're saying you're ready, but you're not acting ready. So how is the universe going to bring you that person, right? This is I notice this especially when people are trying to manifest a romantic partner.
I can see that. I can see that. Melisa, as we wrap up, do you have any final words of wisdom to share with our listeners?
Yeah, I would say just be really, really, for two things, really focus on what you already have to be grateful for is one, and be really conscious of how you talk to yourself. Really, it takes practice. It really does. It takes a lot of practice, but be super conscious. And if if you really want to dive into the work, you can carry around a little notebook in your bag, or if you're home a lot, and anytime you catch yourself saying something negative, make a little mark. And you're going to be surprised at how many times you're going to see the stuff that you say to yourself. So you want to change that. You want to shift that. You want to be a lot kinder to yourself. And I really recommend it. It's a lot, it's work, but it's good work, because now what I notice too is what'll happen is when and it's usually when you look in the mirror. That's why I think mirror works really good. But I'll catch myself now, and I'll catch myself making a negative comment about something I don't like on my body, and I'm like, stop. And I stop myself so much faster than I ever did before. And I noticed that I feel a lot better about being in my own skin than I ever did before, even as I'm getting older.
Agreed.
And rounder.
Agreed. I'm with you on that one. And where's the best place for people to connect with you?
If you go to my website, postcardstotheuniverse.com, you can connect with me through my email. Like I said, I have that free 30-day manifesting PDF if you sign up. And you can find me on all my social media, Twitter, Instagram. I just started with TikTok, which has been a lot of fun.
Oh, I'm going to find you on there. I'm on TikTok.
Yeah, it's been really fun. I've been making these little postcard image videos and stuff, and it's been tons of fun. And of course, my radio show, you can listen to me on Home Times Radio at 4 p.m. Wednesdays Eastern Time. It's Postcards to the Universe with Melisa, Creating the Life You Crave. But if you go to my website, it takes you everywhere. Yeah.
If you're looking at connecting with Melisa, make sure you check out the show notes. I will have all of the links in there. And Melisa, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you so much, Lucie. It was so fun. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Roller Coaster Podcast. Want to chat or share your ideas about today's show? Pop me an email at hello@therollercoasterpodcast.com. Don't forget to connect with me on Facebook and Instagram at The Roller Coaster Podcast. Our theme song, Roller Coaster, was performed by The Lucky Setback. Audio editing by the one and only Jeff Quigley of Quigley Creator.
Life is like